So not a day goes by that someone I know, love, maybe a family friend, even a very close friend or relative, is not diagnosed with some chronic disease, something incurable, or worse. I actually didn't mean to say this, but this is in memory of my Aunt Jeanette, who we are memorializing now. And I start to think about my own morality. And it's in those times that I think about how we move through life and the choices we make. The first thing that I thought about was it never really hits you until it hits you personally. Like when I started feeling those cramps, and I was thinking, this is something a little bit more than an average cramp. But, nonetheless, you go through and you keep on going. Because growing up in a Guyanese Caribbean household, there was always 4 things on the plate. There was always some meat. You had to have vegetables. You had to have rice. Most times it was cook-up rice with black-eyed peas, maybe some greens, and always some bright, nicely crispy fried plantain. Like that completed the plate. And we were very traditional. My parents came from Guyana and they stood the traditions. We grew up, we had a huge bottle of we had a huge bottle of cod liver oil and malted. Every morning we had to have a big tablespoonful on the way out the door. We had things like, I don't know if you remember those big, huge jars of Vaseline. Like that was mixed with cod liver oil. So we got slathered down with that every morning. I mean, we kept the traditional line of what it meant to be in a Guyanese household pretty darn constant. But one of the things that I really, really loved growing up was a lightly battered, well-seasoned, and well-marinated fried chicken. Like the dark meat, the thigh, there was nothing but solid meat and juiciness and yummy flavor. So you can imagine my shock when one day I was talking to my chiropractor, and we were having a conversation. She was pretty cool. And she would always tell me about like health things to help me on my journey. Because at this point in time, I was still on active duty, so I was still trying to do things to heal my body and make sure that I was in top fighting shape like they wanted us to be. So she was talking to me, and I started telling her about the fibroids. And she was like, Adrienne, you may want to give up chicken. Wait, what? Chicken, yeah, cooking messing with your hormones. Chicken? Come again? You mean the backyard pimp? You mean the chicken that one time when we were growing up, my dad came home excited one day. You would not believe this man. You would think he was raised down south and not in South America. He came home with a box and all we hear is, what is that? He said, guess what? I got a free bag. All I had to do was buy a bag of chicken feed. My mom was like, Compton, we don't have chickens. All I had to do was buy this box of chicken feed. I can't do my dad's accent because it's really heavy. So they gave me 5 chickens. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Because like we had animals, but never chickens. Like I never really saw a live chicken up close. So I was the one tagged with taking care of the chickens every morning, cleaning the coop, gathering up the fresh eggs and all the things. So I had grown so in love with the thought of just having chickens around all the time. And when my chiropractor said, you may want to get rid of chickens from your diet, I was like, wait, what? You mean the national bird of homes everywhere chicken? It cannot be so. But these fibroids had me curled up on the bathroom floor, heaving in pain. Like pain meds didn't even help the cause. Kind of like you're curled up and you're praying to the ancestors for relief type of pain. So I had to make that sacrifice. But I tell you what the hardest thing was going to be is giving up. Fried fish, like my mom's snapper and her stuffed trout and her nicely seasoned baked grouper. Oh my goodness gracious. I just could not stomach the thought of giving up all these things that just made my childhood so tastefully delightful. But the hardest thing would be to give up roast beef, a nice juicy grilled hamburger from Murray Steak, half hot spicy half smokes with a side of fries and baked beans. I mean, you can tell that like food is my friend. Food, all types of food. And I said, okay, well, I gotta make this sacrifice. But in order for me to give up meat, I had to have something to replace it with. And this is where I learned about these wonderful things called portobello mushrooms. These big, juicy, nice meat replacements, but they don't cause the problems that meat give you. So after I started thinking about, okay, well, let's see how many ways we can cook portobello mushrooms, I learned that there was a mushroom called oyster mushrooms. Ha! They were like chicken. Same texture, but they just grew up out the ground in the dirt. I was like, wait a minute, let me see how creative I can be with this. So one day I invited my whole family over for dinner. I made curry, chicken, with potatoes, black-eyed peas and rice, all the regular fixings, fried plantain, everything was on the plate. And my mom should have been an investigator. Adrienne, this chicken tastes different. What did you do to it? It tastes different. It's a little sweet, sweeter than chicken, but not the same. I just seasoned it differently. Don't worry, Mom, you like it? My sister's there looking like, something is weird about this chicken. Why shred it up like it is normally comes in like, you have the whole leg quarters and everything. I said, oh no, I just shredded it different because I didn't have a lot, so I wanted it to stretch. So when everybody was clean, I told them, oh, that was oyster mushrooms. Now my mom had always said she hated mushrooms, growing up and everything. The only time we ever had mushrooms was in spaghetti sauce. So, after the oyster mushrooms, I found out that there was a mushroom called lobster mushrooms. And they make the best replacement for crab cakes, for the crab and crab cakes. So, you can just imagine, this started like a whole nother chain of events. So one day, I took my niece walking. And so I said, grab the red plastic basket out of the backyard. We're going to go walking. So we go down the neighborhood. We start foraging for mulberries and June berries. We were looking for wild cherries and dandelions and purslane. All the things that grow up in the cracks of the sidewalk and people try to get rid of. So I get back to the house. And we're here, we got a counter full of plants and all type of stuff to get through before lunchtime. So I'm there making fritters, and I said, okay, we're gonna take the dandelion heads off, and I'm telling my niece how to prepare it, because she's real good at temporing. So she was in charge of doing the tempura dandelion flower fritters. So my brother's on the phone telling one of his friends, my sister's over here frying up stuff, frying up weeds she just got on her backyard. Weeds, boy, as he's popping another fritter in his mouth. So I said, yeah, you like those weeds, don't you? So after this, I started taking classes on foraging, and you could just imagine, it's like you go down this rabbit hole and you become meatless. But the worst part about it is when I go out to eat or I go to a fancy banquet, like we went to this fancy banquet for Essence down in Vegas, and I said, oh, I'm meatless now. So everybody at the table, the rest of the people at the table had surf and turf. Oh, I mean, these steaks beckoned me back to my childhood days. I was like, that looks good. The potatoes were well seasoned. They had a little bowl of gravy, each individual plate. The lady says, oh, you're meatless? Oh, we got something perfect for you. This lady brings back a big old plate of grilled cauliflower steak and 3 baby carrots. 3 carrots? That's all you could suffice? 3 carrots? I said, well, wait a minute. What happened to the imagine that, going meatless has really made me think about my health. But the thing that's most important is that y'all better be good to me. And y'all better be good to yourselves. Right. But mostly remember that I'm going to be the one in 100 years writing and telling the stories about how the history has unfolded. So take good care of yourselves.